Now, Kevin, to kick this one to you, just how much trouble do you think the Golden State Warriors are in with Steph Curry out indefinitely?
I mean, I would say normally that it's going to be pretty bad, but James Wiseman got called up from the G League. Klay Thompson is playing at a great rate. Draymond Green is back. Andrew Wiggins is playing kind of piss poor, but he will get more reps. Jordan Poole's going to get more minutes. We all know that players step up on this team. We all know that they are a very well coached team. As a unit, they're probably going to drop a couple of games. They might drop a spot or two, depending on kind of how the team chemistry rolls around with everybody kind of getting additional minutes in different places. But I would say that Golden State, what are they, the 3 seed right now?
Yes, they are currently the 3 seed.
I would say that they probably drop a couple of games and then Dallas would end up taking the 3 seed from them just because Steph does demand that kind of attention. The guy literally you have to guard from the parking lot. I know that a couple of comedy skit places and pages made a joke about how to properly guard Steph Curry, and it's usually like um, right out of bed. I forget those guys. Kyle, I know you know the guys I'm talking about, like Mark Phillips and those boys. Like that skit was hilarious. That's I don't know why I went on that tangent, but Steph brings that kind of dynamic to where you legitimately have to guard him no matter where he is in the field, or excuse me, on the court. And without him there, they can really focus and trying to choke up on playing a little bit more aggressively on Klay Thompson, being a little bit physical with James Wiseman down low since he's coming back from an injury. We all know that Draymond's not an offensive threat like he used to be. So they're going to really have to rely on the spot up shooting ability of Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole's dynamic play off the bench. Uh, More than likely, he'll be inserted into the starting role. But again, Golden State will be fine in the long haul, but I do see them skidding just a little bit, just enough for Dallas to kind of squeak into the third.
Well, the way that I see it is I think that the Warriors are going to be in some short term trouble. I do see them actually slipping maybe a spot or two when it comes to the Western Conference playoff seeding. It's Kevin, it's like you said, they're the 3 seed right now. But when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, you look at the Utah Jazz, they're only a couple games behind the Warriors at that 3 spot. And the way that I see it, both the Mavericks and the Jazz see blood in the water with Golden State, and I definitely think that there's a possibility that they could overtake Golden State within like the next week or so. So I think overall, when we look at the situation that Golden State's currently faced with, missing Steph is going to be a major problem moving forward, just because Steph is by far and away the most impactful player that Golden State has on their roster, and it just seems like whenever they actually do get healthy as a full roster, someone goes down with an injury. Draymond Green was out for the last 2 months before he came back just a couple days ago. And then when he gets back into the second game after missing 2 months, now Steph is out for probably 4 to 6 weeks. It's just it just seems like injuries plague this team at just the worst inopportune times. And it is like you said, Kevin. These guys are going to have to step up and they're going to have to try to cover that absence until Steph gets back. But I do think that they actually have the personnel to be able to weather the storm to a certain extent. Because I do think that Klay is going to get more burn. I think he's definitely going to be that focal piece for Golden State moving forward. But I do think that Jordan Poole is going to get inserted into the lineup. And I think he's actually going to make a pretty significant difference moving forward. I also think that Draymond is going to get more burns. I know he's more on a minutes restriction right now because he just got back into the lineup after missing 2 months. James Wiseman is going to be back into the fold very soon. But, you're going to have to see guys from the bench step up. You're going to see guys like Gary Payton the second get some shine. You're going to see Jonathan Kaminga. You may see Juan Toscano Anderson. These guys are going to have to all step up in their respective roles, and they're going to have to make plays for the Warriors to be able to maintain a decent seed in the Western Conference and not slip too much until Steph gets back. So I think if there's one thing that they could probably rely on is actually their defensive efficiency. Because when you looked at the situation when they played Boston the other night, that matchup between the Celtics and the Warriors, those were the two top teams as far as defensive efficiency goes. So when you look at Golden State, they're going to have to rely more on their defense down the home stretch until Steph gets back because they just can't go out there and light up teams for 120, 130 points and think that they're going to win because I don't think they're going to be able to get that type of output without Steph. But I think if they're more comfortable with maybe shooting for like 100, 105 points per game and holding opponents to under 100 points per game, I think that's probably going to be the best recipe for them to win until they get Steph back into the fold. But the way that I see it is, even though that I think that they have the personnel to be able to kind of weather the storm initially, I do think within probably the next 2 to 3 weeks down the road, I think that's when you're going to see the Warriors slip a little bit, and then you're going to see teams like the Jazz and you're going to see teams like the Mavs see an opportunity, and I think they're going to seize it, and I think they'll take full advantage of it. And that's where I think I think Golden State's going to get caught, and I think they're going to fall back a little bit in the standings. But as far as the long term aspect goes with Golden State, I'm not too concerned. I still believe that this is one of the more dangerous rosters in the Western Conference. You can never slight on the fact that this team has championship caliber players like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. These guys have been there before. They know how to make things happen. And I think once they get everybody back into the fold when it comes playoff time, I think they'll be good to go. But initially, before we get to that point, I think they're going to be in for a little bit of a struggle. And they could potentially lose some spots in their Western Conference seeding. But you know, losing a player like Steph, never easy, but hopefully we'll get to see him back when the playoffs start. That's just kind of how I see it with Golden State at this current moment in time.